Hi, I'm Matt from the Mythbusters. Yes, Mythbusters. We're still doing that. Today, we're going to talk about the Phoenix, and I'm going to show you how to rebuild your Phoenix, how it works, what it is, all that jazz, some neat tips and tricks for use on pipes. I have it on a cigar here. Special little tip, don't even ask me for one of those because that's a custom jobby. It's actually just a little section of an old tip. Anyway, you can't have one. Phoenix, right. When you get your Phoenix, it's going to come like this. And open it. Pull it out. And it comes with a little drip tip. And it actually comes already pre-built. So when you screw the top off, you're going to see a nicely done coil. Wick all nice and tucked down in there. Looks like they've put about 3 wicks in this one. I think sometimes they vary on how many wicks are in them. But yeah, so you can vape on this straight out of the package if you like. That's what it's going to look like. You just you know, drip in there and vape away. A lot of people are having, well, some people are having issues with this. This is like my go-to RBA. I have an Odie, I have a Penelope, I have the Did, I have, well, there's another new one that we're going to show you in another video, but anyway, this one is just really simple, really easy to build. You do have to know how to build it correctly in order to get it to work right, and you also are going to want to use the right kind of nichrome to get the result that you particularly want. But for me, I mean, you can tell this sucker is just awesome in vapor. I mean, the flavor's great, throat hits there, nice airflow. I really can't complain too much about this mod. I do have a couple qualms with it, but I'll show you that next. I'm going to show you how to rebuild one of these. So let's cut over to the workbench and I'll show you that. Alright, so what we have here is a little ohm meter from Mad Vapes. All this does has a 510 connection, 801 connection. You screw your atomizer into it, and in the little digital readout, it'll tell you what your ohms are set at for your rebuildable. And when you get it, it's set at like 2.6, which is fairly high. I like mine set at about 2.0, 1.8, somewhere around there. Some of you guys like it even lower than that at like 1.5. Anyway, in order to get that lower, the quickest thing to do is just to take the cap off, and you're going to need like an eyeglass screwdriver, Phillips head screwdriver, and you're going to unscrew one of the set screws. You just need to do one side. You're going to want to pull the wire out of there, out of its little there's a little hole. You're probably not going to be able to see it on the camera, but there's a tiny little hole in the side of the post that you slide your wire through, and then set the screw to get it where you want it. Now, in order to drop the ohms, you're going to need to unwrap one or two, probably two, to get it down to 1.8 of the little coil wraps. Now, to get it started is a little difficult. Grab a hold of the wire with some tweezers or a pair of pliers. Tweezers work really well, probably work better than these tools. Get it started. There we go. Okay, so now I can grab it with this guy. Okay, that's one wrap. And then I'm going to take a second wrap off. Get under here and grab it. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so 2 wraps of the coil removed. Our wire is shorter now, so it's going to have less resistance. Now you're going to want to run that wire through that itty bitty hole in the side of post of the Phoenix. And go ahead and pull that through. Grab a hold of the other end of the wire, the other side, and pull it through. You don't want too much wire between where it enters the post and the coil. You want to shorten that length up to where it's pretty snug against the post. And tighten down your post. Okay, and then you've got all this wire back here left over. You're going to want to trim that. Nail clippers work really well, or if you have little wire snips, you can use that. So really all you need to rebuild one of these, and it's kind of nice, is just a small Phillips head screwdriver, toenail clippers, and a pair of tweezers will do it. Now you can see that we've shortened our coil. We're going to go ahead and put this back on here. And see what we're ohming at. And taking 2 coils away from the wrap, we're at 1.94, which is a good spot for me. I'd like to vape right about there. So all these extra wicks, we want to take those and shove them back down into the well. Now this Phoenix has a really nice deep juice well, so you can drip. I typically drip about 8 drops into this bad boy at a time. Too much and you're actually going to inhibit the vapor. You get poor vapor if you flood it, and it'll leak out of a hole in the side. But about 7 or 8 drops is going to keep you pretty good. Now, where is the cover of that one go? Oh, there it is. Okay, so now that you got that done, you can screw the cover back on and use one of our universal pipe stems and stick that in there. That's just a regular 510 Addy connection. Or if you want to, it's a little tricky to do, but you can actually take this metal piece right here. You can take it off. I don't want to ruin this one. I've already taken it off on this one. You can see. So this piece right here, it might give you a little bit of a trouble, but I used these last time, I think. You want to, maybe it wasn't these. Anyway, you can get it off, but it might be a little bit of a hassle. The reason you might want to do that is because it gives you a much bigger surface area to drip into. You can fit a Mega B stem in there, like one of Chris's cherry vape stems, or any of the Mega B pipe stems that we have, and it is kind of nice to have a much bigger hole to drip into rather than that little bitty one. There's no real need for this. It's just a Mega B to 510 adapter anyway. So that's what you're going to want to do when you first get it. If you want lower ohms than 1.9, do maybe 3 wraps. If it was at 2.6 and it dropped down to 2 with unwrapping it twice, that means every time you unwrap one, you should lose about 0.3 ohms. So if you were to unwrap another one, you'd be at around 1.6. Alright, so after you use it for a while, and this is about a week's worth of use. Typically I rebuild my atomizer every week because the performance just starts to lag, and you can see the coil starts to crust up with a bunch of crap, and this just inhibits vapor, and you switch flavors a lot and flavor starts to get muddled. So the really nice thing about these rebuildables is you just rip what you have out, put a new coil in, and it's a brand new atomizer. Now, in order to repair it or rebuild it, you just undo both the little set screws and get your screwdriver under the coil, and it'll just pop right out. You don't need that anymore. Now, this is the one qualm that I have with the Phoenix, and if you change it from mod to mod, anybody that has one probably knows this, but there's a neat little trick to it. The center post likes to travel back up into the connection, and obviously, you're not going to be able to get anything in there to pry it back out. So if it gets buried real far and you switch it to another mod, it may not actually make connection. So that's that's kind of lousy, but we figured out how to fix it. Brian showed me that if you take your screwdriver and put it on the base of the dripping well down here, and you just push, it'll actually push the center pin back out straight. So then you can switch it to another mod. Because it does this, because it actually seats and kind of mates to a specific mod, it's probably a good idea just to dedicate one Phoenix to one specific mod. That way you don't keep pushing it in and out, because I'm sure that the insulators in here are probably gonna go bad eventually if you keep doing that. So after you do that, clean everything out. Normally I'll clean it with hot water and soap and possibly alcohol. Another reason to rebuild your atomizer every week is because of bacteria growth and stuff like that. Just hygienically, it's a good idea to clean your atomizer once a week. So I'm going to set this on this platform here and kind of build the atomizer off the platform. It makes it a little bit easier to manage. Alright, so as you can see over here, I have a variety of different wires and stuff, and over the last couple months, probably 6 months, we've been looking at several different types of nichrome, kanthal, all different kinds of stuff, trying to find the wire that works best. And I do think that there's a big difference in the wire that you use and how well it works. This is a no resistance wire. It comes with the OD. You do not want to use non-resistive wire in your mod, or say a wire out of just any odd random wire that you find. You need to buy a specific wire to wire these up correctly. If they don't have resistance, you're basically just going to make a short and you could blow up the battery, which is another reason to use the vape safe. But anyway, we have a 32 gauge nichrome, we have kanthal, and this, I think this is a 34 or a 36 gauge that came with the OD. Now this is by far the best wire out of these that I have used, so I'm going to go ahead and use this wire to show you how to build this. So I'm going to take and use the 3mm silica wick from, this is what you would use with like the Penelope. We're going to have this on the site. We already have a bunch of it, but we're still trying to nail down the nichrome. But just a short little piece like that, and you're going to take your wire out and start with a fairly straight piece, and from one end you're going to lay your wire across the wick like that and kind of pinch it, and then wind the wire back and forth across the wick about 4 times. Now, depending on what kind of wire, the gauge wire you use, nichrome, kanthal, all that's all going to depend on how many wraps, is all going to depend on what wire you use and what ohm you want. I know that 4 to 5 wraps is ideal for the ohms that I want, which is about 1.8 to 2 ohms. Once you get it wrapped around where you want it. You want it to be, you know, a little under a 1/4 inch from end to end where the two little ends come out, and then you can take a little pick tool or a toothpick and kind of lay out your coil. Just neaten it up a bit, make sure it doesn't touch itself anywhere, because that would be gay. Have to edit that out, huh? Mm-hmm. Okay. Then you trim off your other bit of wire, and you're going to have one end that you want sticking out in one direction, and the other end you're going to want to stick out in the other direction. Okay, like that. And this down here, the wire is coming out from the bottom in this direction, and the wire is coming out from the bottom in that direction. So this is going to be the bottom of our coil when we put it on the Phoenix. If we flipped it upside down and those wires came off the top and went down into where they're supposed to tie into the addy there, you don't get enough height on the wick in the coil, and it's not going to breathe well. So make sure your wires are coming off the bottom. Now, first one I like to do is the shorter post. It's the harder post to do, so you get that one done first, and it makes your life a little bit easier. So take the wire, slide it into the hole, and then make sure it's snug up against the screw and set it down. Alright, now take the other side, and I'm going to flip it over the top of that so it kind of goes, you know, comes in on this side and then it comes in on this side, so it's kind of diagonal between the two. The coil runs diagonal. With this one, it's best to use a pair of tweezers or a pair of fine needle nose pliers, because it's very difficult once one side is set to get the other side in the hole. Okay. Once you get it started though, and it's through the other side, just grab the other end and pull it tight. Alright. My coil's reading 1.8, 1.7. Let's see what happens when I tighten this down. 1.6. That's a little low for me, so I probably could have gone with 5 wraps instead of 4, but that should be okay. It's not going to kill me. So 1.6, and I'm going to take the actually I use this pick tool. This is probably the hardest part. You're going to fold the wick in on itself and then back down into the well. And when you're using a 3mm wick, it's a very thick wick and it wicks very well, but it's hard to get back into that cup, so shove it down in there. Okay, and then you've got these two little pigtails from where the wire came out the opposite ends. You want to trim those really close. If one of those wires were to touch the outer bit of the rebuildable, it could generate a short, and you don't want that. That can cause batteries to vent and whatnot, so be sure and trim your wires and make sure that they don't touch any other metal bits inside there. Now, another thing I like to do once I get it all together is take it and raise the wick and the coil to where it's just below the highest set screw, almost even with it. The reason for this is that the air hole is going to be about right here, and I want that air hole to hit directly at the wick and the coil. So now that that's back together and it's at a good ohm setting, take my cap, screw it on, get some delicious Allison Vapeland juice here. Eight drops on the initial on the initial fill is actually not that much. You could probably go with 10, but as I said before, if you drip too much into it and you fill the well, it's actually going to inhibit vapor production. So you don't want to over drip. Let that soak in, shake it up a little bit, and let's see how it hits. It's the spot. It's already a little dratty. You saw I put 8 drops in there. That wasn't quite enough, so it's probably not quite soaked in enough yet. I'm going to add like 5 more drops. And that's it. The Phoenix Rebuildable. Affordable at $20 for a rebuildable atomizer. You just have to purchase the wick and wire to rebuild it every week. It's clean, it's efficient, it tastes great, gives great vapor. I got to give this 2 thumbs up. As you saw, the only qualm that I had was the center pin deal, but you can fiddle around with that, get that working right. But yeah, for $20 for a RBA dripper atomizer, this is where it's at. So, thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.